Exercise 2. The Lost Generation by Jonathan Reed. I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together, but this will not be true in my era. This is a quick-fix society, experts tell me. 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And all of this will come true.
Lesson 7C, Exercise 4.
And all of this will come true unless we reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick-fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children, money will make me happy is a lie. And happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can change the world. And I refuse to believe that I am part of a lost generation.
Exercise 5. Speaker 1.
I went to the gym last week. It was the first time in years. I tried lifting some weights and could only manage about 120 kilos. I know that would be a lot for most people, but for me, well, I was really surprised how little I can lift now.
Speaker 2.
I went to see Robbie Williams in concert last weekend, again. It was in Manchester. He played some of his old songs and some of the songs from his new album. It was okay, but even I had to admit that he wasn't brilliant. Maybe he wasn't feeling good.
Speaker 3.
I went out for a meal with some friends last weekend. We had Thai food because they wanted to try something different. And for once, I agreed. And you know, it wasn't too bad. A bit hot and spicy for me, but very tasty. I actually enjoyed it. I might try Indian sometime. Perhaps.
Speaker 4.
We stayed 3 nights in a hotel in Paris. All I can say is that at least the location was very good. As for the hotel itself, well, I suppose it's just a place to sleep, isn't it? Who needs nice decor or polite staff?
Speaker 5.
My sister called round and gave me my birthday present. It was a jumper, which was a surprise. She doesn't usually buy me clothes. It's quite a colourful jumper. Red, blue and orange. Unusual. Well, anyway, it was very kind of her to buy it for me.
7C. Exercises 6 and 7. Speaker 1.
If you take the time to listen carefully to the words of the best rappers, people like Eminem and Jay-Z, and some of the female rappers too, like Lil' Kim and Missy Elliott, then you'll realise how good they are. It isn't just poetry, it's fantastic poetry. In fact, I'd say that some of them are the best poems being written today. Seriously, that's my opinion. Now, a lot of people say that young people are no longer interested in great poetry, but that's wrong, isn't it? A lot of teenagers listen to rap music, and rap can be great poetry, even though some people don't look at it like that. So, I'd say that in some ways, poetry is more popular than ever among young people.
Speaker 2.
You know the poems I hate most? They're the ones you get in greetings cards. Birthday cards, Mother's Day cards, that kind of thing. I mean, a poem has to be original, doesn't it? To be a good poem, it has to come from the writer's heart and contain some real emotion. It has to be about why the poet loves a particular man or woman, or why the poet is feeling particularly sad. These poems in greetings cards are all the same. I hope your birthday is full of fun. You really are a wonderful son. That kind of rubbish. I suppose people actually have to spend time writing them. Imagine doing that job. It would be so depressing, wouldn't it? Writing rubbish every day.
Speaker 3.
We've been looking at some modern poetry at school, in our English classes. Some of it is okay, but to be honest, I'm not keen on most of it. I just don't get it. I mean, half of it doesn't even mean anything. Or at least, I can't work out what it means. It just seems like random words. Poetry didn't used to be like that. In the past, it was always clear what the meaning of the lines was, and usually it rhymed too. For me, that's what poetry should be like. That's the skill of the poet, isn't it? If you don't worry about meaning or rhyme, then you can just write anything and call it a poem. A leaf on a tree, the sun shines, water flows, life goes on. There, that's a poem. Huh.
Speaker 4.
Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And something heard, and something is the storm. Hang on, I can't remember the rest. But it's one of my favourites. It's by Emily Dickinson. I love her poems. In fact, most of the poems I like best are by women. I think women make better poets than men. But that's just my personal opinion, of course. I don't find it very easy to memorise poems. It takes me ages. But I enjoy doing it, and I really like having a few poems that I know from memory.
Speaker 5.
This is one I wrote last week. Black clouds fill the sky. A child screams, but nobody hears. A white dove sings, but cannot fly. I cry, but nobody sees my tears. Yeah, I know, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Funny, really, because I wasn't feeling down or anything when I wrote it. It's often like that. If I write a really sad poem, it doesn't mean I'm feeling sad. You know, it's a work of art, isn't it? It's not the truth. Like, a singer can sing a really tragic song without actually feeling those emotions for real. Most of my poems are pretty black, about death, disease, that kind of thing. I'm not sure why. I just like writing about those topics. I think they're more powerful than happy topics. Who wants to read about people?
Exercise 2. Here we can see the text. You have to read it and answer the question. In exercise 4, Use the prompts to write sentence with the correct form of having something done. Here you have to rewrite 6 sentences. In exercise 7, we have 7 sentences. You have to complete the sentences with the correct reflexive pronouns.